Baki Hanma vs Tokita Ohma, the battle between Baki and Kengan Ashura, fights that had both fandoms at war with each other. Legend says it's still occurring right now. Baki fans screaming that everyone was nerfed and the Hanma should have defeated everyone in 1 second. This includes Kuroki Gensai, who kinda shit on Baki in the crossover. Kengan fans wanting to see it in their animation style, alongside more of Ohma's techniques like Demon's Bane or even some of the career ones from later in Kengan Omega. And of course the big issue of animation that resulted in disappointment for many. Some people still want Kuroki vs Yujiro in a sequel film, others think Shenmue Long vs Yoga is a better fit, and many more arguments that are going to continue forever at this point. Today, Sosa Potence wanted me to give a reaction to his video entitled Baki was not weaker vs Kengan Ashura, with the not nerfed shown in the thumbnail, implying that he believes that this film featured full power Baki facing Tokita Ohma in this crossover. At least that's my perspective on what's outlined here. Quite a bold statement, that's for sure, but make sure to check out his original video, subscribing here on Mysterious Chad for even more Baki and Kengan content, and let's get into the reaction. So let's have a look what he has to say.
I am sick and tired of people saying that Baki was nerfed in the Baki Hanma versus Kengan Ashura crossover. He absolutely was not, and we're going to prove it right here.
So yeah, what I assume based on the title and thumbnail seems to be his belief. Baki was not nerfed in the crossover, so let's sit back and see if he can cook some goods.
Like I said, just adding in that extra cool scene just to be able to give y'all some entertainment. But let's start out with the very first part of the fight. See, this just should eliminate basically any controversy or any debate about this. It seriously should. The fight is literally over in the first move. And we even have the King of Stranglers bragging about how amazing it is that Baki actually knows the zone technique. So they are hyping him up and making him way better.
So he's talking about Baki right as the thing started, landed that jab that dropped Ohma right off go. I'm pretty sure that was just Baki showing his 0.5 second knockout punch, something that is notoriously shit on by the Baki fandom due to it ruining the speed scaling to a degree. However, Baki uses that technique on the likes of Oliver and I believe even Yujiro as well. Every time he pulls it out, it seems to be just a successful drop of any fighter, and he does the same thing here on Tokita Ohma. And then with the comparison between that and Cosmo's zone, that actually makes Ohma seem more impressive than anything else. However, I think that was just the 0.5 second punch or technique Baki uses right off go, which does highlight him as technically winning the fight to a degree if you want to view it that way. So perhaps that's why he doesn't think Baki was nerfed, because he won in like 1 second. That's literally what we got to see happen. But let's see what he has to say.
Than the Asura, like way better. It's not even a question, and they actually repeat this throughout the entire fight. But here it is, he literally speed blitzes him like he actually would statistically wise, and he is actually down for the count. The fight would be over if this was a normal match. It would be over. It's already settled who's stronger.
Then allow me to make the first.
Kind of funny though, not gonna lie.
I had no idea there was someone besides me who could use the zone.
In the
Yeah, half a second, the 0.5 second knockout punch Baki uses, yeah.
very next clip, Baki once again speed blitzes him with a jumping kick, which is not very fast and it's hard to do whenever it comes to a speed blitz. Trust me, as a professional Muay Thai fighter, I would know. That's why y'all come here for these expert takes. But he actually still speed blitzes him with the kick. Granted, the Indestructible did hurt Baki's foot just a little bit, but he's not down. He's not out for the count. He didn't break anything. He's just like, ow. He's not even taking it seriously at this point. And Kengan Ashura, the Ohma man himself, is singing his praises, just like, wow, this guy is so incredibly tough and amazing and fast.
A factor a lot of people need to remember for this crossover is I believe the writing was done by Sandrovich, the author of Kengan. I believe Itagaki, the Baki author, was credited because he owns, Baki and all that, but I don't think he was that involved compared to the Kengan team. But with that said as well, the animation studio who created this film was the one that's done all the recent Baki seasons. So keep that all in mind for, certain aspects and portrayal of characters. They want to give Baki respect as this goated martial arts manga in Japan, one that's been serializing for 30 years and is a key thing that actually let Kengan become what it was in its early days, alongside trying to make a cool crossover that isn't just boring with one-shots and all that.
Dude, your head's so freaking hard!
The only issue with Indestructible in that scene is it stated earlier in Kengan Ashura that Indestructible doesn't really work on the head or the face to a degree where Baki just landed that kick. However, with that said, we kind of got a retcon in Kengan Mega where Guy Mukaku, the creator of the Nico style, was using it on his face when Koga was punching him. At least that's what we assumed. So I don't know the truth about that and whether the author just forgot what he said previously, but something interesting to point out in this little scene here.
And once again, Baki, with just a pretty average normal punch that he put his weight into a little bit, beat Indestructible. Mind you, the time gap. These characters from Kengan are from after the first Kengan Ashura arc. After the first...
So that is true based on Kano Gito's design in the film. We see the scar on his forehead, what he got from Kuroki Gensai in the Annihilation Tournament. However, if you're going to say this is after Kengan Ashura, the lacking of Ohma's most powerful abilities is a big issue. For example, Demon's Bane, the ultimate technique of the Nico style, and many others he used later in the anime. As a reminder, this film came out 2 months before the final season of Kengan Ashura came out, kinda messing up some things in what Ohma could use technique wise. Also, with that said as well, he gets more impressive techniques later on in Kengan Omega. The time frame where this is supposedly taking place potentially on what we know, but again, it's just a crossover, can't be that hyper detailed.
Tournament, so they're even stronger when they originally used these moves before, and Baki is still trouncing Indestructible like it's nothing. That's actually good with the statistics of the stories. I don't know why people keep saying that Baki's nerfed somehow or anything like that. No, he's absolutely whooping in him and clowning on him without even trying that hard yet.
Yeah, the early stages of the fight was definitely in Baki's favor, that is for sure.
Keep this in mind. Wakatsuki, the guy with Superman syndrome, couldn't even beat almost Indestructible, at least for a long time. He had a hard time getting past it and was seeing.
So the Waka and Ohma fight, it was kinda messed up somewhat in the anime, but in the manga, he compares his Indestructible to Waka's power, which was like a 50 compared to a 10, and even says Waka's strikes are heavier than Kure Ryan, so Waka was definitely getting through his Indestructible, that's for sure.
Singing his praises the whole time about how he couldn't underestimate him, and yet you think Baki is nerfed when he outshines Wakatsuki when the characters are already stronger? No, bro, just no. You need to give it up.
Also, speaking about the Waka stuff, bro just didn't make an appearance in this crossover. Truly sad times. But yeah, we see Baki land another pretty impressive blow, stunning the Kengan fighters. Definitely in the lead in the early stages of the fight.
Only confirms everything I've been trying to say. Actually, Ohma gets a good hit on him, like a direct hit to his face. Very hardcore. Nico style out of man team form, everything. And Baki barely even recognizes it. He gets sent back flying a little bit and then gets right back up right into the fight. And he's still not even taking it seriously. And what's worse is that the actual Baki characters are commenting that they cannot believe that someone as weak as Ohma is actually keeping up with Baki at all. Like, that's a big thing because they know that Ohma doesn't at all scale to Baki at all. So the fact that he's able to even...
I mean, the Baki spectators shouldn't really know that at all. They don't know anything about Ohma. And in the prior scene, we saw Ohma, like, humble Pickle in a quick exchange, which was pretty crazy based on which version of Baki this film was meant to be portraying. And even at this point, post Yujiro and Baki fight, he pretty much destroys like all the other Baki characters anyway, so it's not like their commentary is that relevant in something like this.
hang with him just a little bit, even when Baki is not taking it that seriously, is a big accomplishment to them.
There you go. Ohm was able to drop Baki for a quick instant. Both relatives, same speed, landing strikes on one another.
Then we have the whip strike and the crotch shot that Baki puts on Kengan once again, pretty effortlessly, not even trying that hard. But Ohma again tries to go for that Aikido throw, and he does, but then Baki does it right back to him just as well. And the other people who are watching from the Kengan people are so impressed by this move, it's foreign to them how anyone could be this good. Besides the fact that earlier in the movie, they said that, oh, their faces look too scary anyway, which was just another way of saying, hey, I can just tell by looking at them that they're stronger than us.
I don't know whether you can assume that Seki saying they look scary is them conceding that the Baki characters are stronger. That's quite the stretch. And the main shock aspect was Baki copying the attack alongside the, insanity of the Aiki moves, and that's why we cut to Goki and Hatsumi, the Aikido specialists from both verses, but yeah. Speaking about this, Zhao Li and Baki using it has actually never happened in the main series, at least in a definitive manner like this, so that was actually pretty cool to see. We've seen Baki use the Muck Punch against Jack in the Maximum Tournament. He copied that already back then, so nothing new. Yeah, and that's where he copied the attack back.
Now Baki is a natural and demon talent, so it makes sense that he can do this, of course, but we've never seen Baki ever practice with Shaori or anything like that. Of course, we believe he can naturally do it. If Yujiro can do it off of seeing it once, so can Baki naturally, especially when he is so comfortable in a match, and he usually is nowadays, and isn't really...
I would say one of the coolest touches to see Baki use that technique here.
Fearful of what the opponent is going to do. When he knows he can take it easy and still win, then yeah, he's going to do that. And what Nico said is absolutely true, guys. It is a great big world out there. There will always be someone better, always be someone faster. Trying to stay on top forever is just a folly agenda, even though you can make some good money doing it.
And then Yujiro just, exist in Baki.
And I've been there, done that, so I'm not faulting anyone, but that is true. There is always someone out there who is bigger, stronger, better than you, what you do, unless you're like me and the toughest man in the world. But you know what, there's probably going to be someone who's tougher than me that comes along anyway. And finally Ohma realizes that he has to actually go into his possessed by God state in order to be able to deal with Baki at all.
And to be fair, when he does enter his advance in the film, he blitzes Baki. The heartbeat though goes quite crazy. But yeah, Ohma's advance, based on what we know about it, increases his heart rate, increases his torque, which naturally makes him faster, and his strikes are faster, which based on physics makes them stronger as well. Something that's directly told to us in the early days of the Kengan Ashura manga.
Possessed by a god.
Plus it's
Kaku, knowing what it is kind of crazy.
just so cool to see whenever Ohma transforms, but so does Baki after that. But he's not sweating it, he's not too worried or anything. He just goes in and transforms because it comes naturally to him, because he wants to have a little bit of fun. And
I mean, Baki doesn't sparingly use the demon back at any point throughout Baki, so don't know about that one.
and this is still power scaling done.
Even in the Yujiro fight, Baki was like beat up until it came out. And even in the Oliver fight, you could say a similar thing. Even though Baki activated it to a degree, it was still like a fight had to occur for quite some time before it was revealed.
Done correctly, guys. Ohma can absolutely put out a massive amount of power, but only in a short burst because of this transformation. That's why he always fails. The cardio issue, and cardio is the biggest.
That's why in Kengan Mega, Ohma uses it in quick blitzes. He doesn't keep it active for a long time like he did in Kengan Ashura.
Thing within all of combat sports, it really is. Like, people literally get scared to death that they won't be able to defend themselves, like Chilson says. It's absolutely true. Sure, Ohma could keep up with Baki a little bit, just like he did with Ryan Kure, but eventually...
I mean, in the film itself, we see the advanced up ohma clash with demon back Baki in an even playing field and both fall back as a draw. It's not like ohma ran out of cardio or stamina first. Both of them were relative in these forms and both fell back. It's a draw, no winner. That's what was shown to us in the film itself. And that's why a lot of people argue Baki was nerfed, due to the way to argue Baki power scaling is above Kengan is the more agreed thing by majority of the fandoms, but you can't argue other stuff based on calculations and scaling, especially now in Kengan Omega.
Eventually he's going to get worn out and he's not going to be able to keep that power output for long. So it once again displays that Baki is far superior. There are no cardio drawbacks. In fact, his cardio probably gets even better after Baki transforms with the demon back power.
I mean, that's all fine to say, but we literally see them be relative and both like fall back at the same time. Like punch, 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 punch. Dog shit animation, but that's what we get. And on top of all this, as I've mentioned throughout this reaction, we saw quite a bit of Baki's techniques, even ones he hasn't used in the main series like Xiao Li. But for Tokita Ohma, who has far more techniques, we didn't really get that much, including his ultimate technique, Demon's Bane, which could have made a big difference if used.
That reused animation in this one, boy, it was terrible on this one. That was the number one thing that I was pointing out whenever I reviewed this. I still like the concepts and the movie and everything like that. I think it's still good entertainment, but yeah, the constant repeat animation use, even though they're good repeat animation moves, it was just too much for me. And then we get to the final scene right here that a lot of people went apoplectic about, is that somehow Baki was able to be blocked by the bearded god. Now I understand that.
Yeah, that is a moment that had the Baki fans losing their mind. Of course, alongside the Jack getting choked out by Kurei Ryan.
The power scaling doesn't exactly match up, but once again, the bearded god is more powerful than Ohma slightly.
I mean, even now in Kengan Omega, like right now, most recent chapters, Kuroki's portrayal is still above Ohma, which is crazy, but the almighty beard greatness lives on.
You could never land a punch against me.
Yeah, that line there. Goated.
And Kuroki is super good at being able to anticipate moves with that precognition ability.
Yeah, his foresight, or the pinnacle of foresight pre-initiative.
So it actually makes a little bit of sense that after Baki is tired, worn out, is going to be insanely predictable because of that a fresh Kuroki can come in and block one punch. You also have to remember that the scaling was completely different at this point. What they intended to be is not how it is now. Like, Baki is way too powerful for Kuroki. When they had the idea for this, it actually would have made somewhat of a good match. And here's the...
Not sure what he means by that exactly, but
the lowdown scoop for everybody, y'all. You will not hear anywhere else. All my other predictions and sources and all of that stuff had come true. Like I said that Baki with Musashi and stuff was going to be released by Netflix soon. They're going to be doing the Omega Kengan arc. That's why they left out the very ending of the Asura arc so that they can make a commercial out of it. And Kuroki is not going to be the one who faces Yujiro. It's going to be Shen Wulong. And Kuroki's...
I'll be very surprised, for example, if they were to make a sequel film within a year, they're going to have to release like 4 seasons of Kengan Mega to even have Shenmue Long introduced for that to make sense, as an example. Because Shenmue Long doesn't appear until after the Purgatory vs Kengan tournament, which is quite a bit of chapters into Kengan Omega.
He's going to end up facing someone else powerful. I don't know the lowdown on this one. Maybe it's Doppo or something like that. I honestly don't know, so don't quote me on that. Maybe it's Goki. I don't know.
And based on them already setting up Kuroki vs Yujiro, they're definitely going to stick with that. It's not like the animators care that much about power scaling or anything.
But I do know that 3 movies are scheduled to happen. There's
3 movies between Baki and Kengan Ashura. Don't know about that one, mate. I'll say here, if anyone's watching, that no official information about any of this. We got hints in the film itself that there could be a sequel, but no official or information from any source has claimed that.
scheduled to happen, and that's going to be the final result of all of them. The second one is just going to be a whole bunch of fun and side characters and all that stuff building up to the main event. So you heard it now.
I mean, I hope there is, but again, take what he's saying for a grain of salt. I hope he's right, but I cannot confirm in any way because no official source has said so.
You know who to trust whenever it comes to that. And we're going to be getting to that extra bonus content with Jack and Courier Ryan in just a little bit. But yeah, I want to know what y'all's feedback is on this and everything I had to say. I think I proved it pretty sufficiently.
So Baki being nerfed, I don't know if your point was proven that well, if I'm being honest. Like, the main thing that came down to it was that his portrayal was that he was stronger than ohma, even though the fight ended in a draw. The reason people say Baki was nerfed is because of the outcome of the fight. So maybe you believe he was portrayed pretty well. I agree with that. Was he nerfed? Every character was nerfed, and I would even say ohma was nerfed more to a degree due to lacking of his most overpowered techniques, but it is what it is. Not a bad video, mate. Good job, good job. Make sure to check it out. And yeah, watch this video if you want to yap and enjoy more Baki content.